Good morning or good afternoon, Tigers. Today we'll be watching a video on Quizzette 727. Please make sure that you write your last name, comma, first name, today's date, and that you circle the class color you are in. Today I'll say that I'm in green, and today's date is March 5th, 2018. Now these questions are quite rigorous this week, so you need to pay very close attention to the instructions of this week's Quizzette. After this Quizzette video, you will have completed Monday's Quizzette. I also want you to work on Tuesday's Quizzette. We have a lot of things going on this week that will prevent you from doing the Quizzette on the day of. So for instance, Wednesday, you won't be doing Wednesday's Quizzette, so we have to get a little ahead today. Okay, number one, it says a triangle has side lengths of 20 centimeters, 20 centimeters, and 8 centimeters. What kind of triangle is this? So when we're grading on Friday, I'm going to give you points for multiple things on this. I'm going to give you points for your SMP4, your model. So you have to construct a figure, make a model out of the description. You will get points for that. You will also get points for classifying the type of triangle in the correct way. So here it says a triangle has side lengths of 20 centimeters and 20 centimeters. So I would say it obviously has two sides that are the same length, which is 20 centimeters and 20 centimeters. The question also provides the third side length, which is 8 centimeters. So I'm going to put it where it belongs, and this one is 8 centimeters. By looking at this triangle, I know that it has two congruent sides, and if there are two congruent sides, that means there are two congruent angles. So that triangle would be an isosceles triangle. So it's an isosceles triangle because it contains two equal or congruent sides. Now the SMP that I'm using here is modeled with my math because I'm drawing a picture. Now let's look at number 2. It says, find the area of the compound figure. Remember, the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Now this looks a lot more complicated than the compound figures that we calculated 2 weeks ago. So this is the first step. You need to break down the compound figure into two familiar shapes. The top figure is a triangle, the bottom figure is a rectangle. Now I can find the area of the rectangle fairly easily. The length is 8 and the width is 5. It would not be right to say that the length is 2 times 5 because 2 is just this little side right here. Obviously, the length of the rectangle is this entire side, which is 8. Another thing that you can recognize is this entire thing, this line that I'm pointing at, has to be equivalent to 8 as well because of the parallel side underneath it. So 2 and 1 is already accounted for. So 1 centimeter is right here and 2 centimeters are over here. 1 plus 2 is 3. So that means 3 centimeters are already accounted for. Now what's left? 3 minus 8 would be 5. So this missing side length right here, this base of this triangle would be 5. Now you can double check your work. Let's calculate. What is 1 plus 5? 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. So this entire length adds up to be this length right here, which would make sense because 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 5 is 40. Remember that opposite sides in a rectangle are equivalent. So 8 and 8. 5, 5. Okay, so the area of this rectangle would be 8 times 5, which is 40 centimeters squared. Now let's try to find the area of the rectangle. The base of the rectangle is 5. The height of the the triangle, the height of the triangle is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Now the area of the triangle is base times height divided by 2. So I did base times height and now I have to divide it by 2. Okay, half of 25 is 12.5. That's the area of the triangle. Now I have to add the total areas to get the area of the compound figure. So I have 12.5 plus 40, which gets you 52.5 centimeters squared is the total area of the compound figure. Okay? So again, the formula for a triangle is base times height, or you could say length times width, but the last step is you have to divide it by 2. The SMP that you're using here is SMP2. You could also say that it's SMP6 because you're attending to precision. So I'm going to write SMP6, attend to precision. All right, Tigers, let's look at number 3. Sorry, my video, you know it does this sometimes. All right, number 3, it says, in the figure, the measure of angle X is equal to 3y minus 24. What is the measure of angle Y? So here, the measure of angle X is 3y minus 24. So go ahead and write that. And the measure of Y, we don't know. So we could just keep Y right there. Now, we know that these are supplementary angles. You can write it really small somewhere. Supplementary. And supplementary angles are angles that add up to equal 180. So they're angles that add up to equal 180 degrees. So here our first angle is 3y minus 24. And we have to add the other angle, which is y, and set it equal to 180. Now I can solve this. The very first step in solving a multi-step equation is combining like terms. I have a 3y here and a positive y here. That's like having 3 yo-yos plus another yo-yo. You have 4 yo-yos total. I just combine those right there. And I still have this minus 24. So I bring minus 24 equals 180. Now the first step in solving a two-step equation is undoing addition or subtraction. Here I see the subtraction of 24, so I'm going to do the opposite or the inverse operation, which is adding by 24. And what I do on one side, I have to do to the other. When I add 180 to 24, I get 204 degrees equals, and on the left, I am left with 4y. The second step in solving a two-step equation is undoing multiplication or division. Here, 4 is being multiplied to y. The inverse operation of multiplication is division. So I divide by 4 on both sides. And that's going to tell me what y equals to, or the measure of y. So on the side, I'm going to do 4 divided into 204. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Bring down the 4. 4 goes into 4 one time. So the measure of angle y is 51 degrees. Oh, I want you to write it mathematically precise. So the measure of angle y is equal to 51 degrees. There you go. So this angle right here is 51 degrees. All right, Tigers, as you're working on this Quizzette, I want you to be very careful with your areas on number 2. I also want you to be careful with your properties of supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles on number 3. And on number 1, the only advice I could really give you for number 1 is to look at your math notes. I gave you notes on the classification of angles. Draw a picture and fill in the information they give you. If you need to use Google to help you on number 1, do it. This Quizzette is aligned to the test that you guys are going to take on Thursday. So if you get 100% on this Quizzette, you are ahead of the game and you will get a good score on the test that you take on Thursday. Thank you, Tigers. Have a good week.